How long can you stare into a box of light? How long have you been staring into a box of light? As a matter of fact, you're staring at a box of light right now, watching this, talking to me. That's the hideous hypocrisy of this whole thing, is that it's all just, I'm preaching to you to get away from the screens, and yet I'm doing that through a screen. So, doesn't say much for my YouTube channel or my amazingly 100 or so hardcore fans who will stick with me through heaven and hell. But I don't think we're going to make it very far on YouTube, guys, for a variety of reasons, not all of which, but may include the fact that I'm trying to call down the very medium that I'm using to talk about my points. So I don't think they're going to give me a lot of play. I don't think they will, unfortunately. But yeah, there's you think about staring at boxes of light, like radio was really big, and then it took over into like radio, and then instant text communication was basically created with the internet. Really, I mean, there was messaging and coding and stuff like that, and it was exciting back in the day to get a note from a friend and have, wow, we could send secret messages. Like the idea kids would do that, they'd run back and forth and send secret messages. That was like a thing. And then you would have like a string with two tin cans, and that was the craziest thing ever, that you could have like, private comms, and now you've got, the entire universe in the palm of your hand, which is crazy pants, no matter how you cut that. And we're supposed to adapt to that when, 200 years ago, we're all like basically farmers or tradespeople of some type, and now suddenly we have jobs that aren't jobs. Our jobs are, we sit in cubicles and we hit buttons all day. And in the corners are the people who sit in cubicles made of glass. And they hit buttons too. In fact, their desk is just more majestic than my desk, but he has the same keyboard and he has screens, maybe more screens. So he's staring at more boxes of light. He gets all the light. And then you all just hit buttons all day. That's what you do. That's your job. And these people are realizing that AI is going to take your job if your job is you just stare into a box of light. Like that's going to happen. Just like they've taken the artists' jobs. And people who say they haven't taken those jobs are wrong. They're just wrong. Right? People are going to be able to go out and be like, yeah, no, I want this. No, I want this. No, I want this. And gone is this whole idea of like an artist reading your work, doing the research, reading the books, and then discovering the cover art. Like that's not a thing anymore. There might be somebody who'll do it, and there'll be a loyal following of people who will clash that and who will take that in. But these are assuming that people even read books, because now like people aren't really reading a lot, and that's I mean, it's a fact. I mean, you look at the stats, reading is way down. And I don't mean reading, again, if you're staring into a box of light, you're not reading. Reading is cold media, right? So you have to, a book, paper of some type. I don't care if that's anime, I don't care what it is, comic books, whatever, man. But that's reading. So, yeah, there's not even a lot of that anymore. People are like, oh, that's quaint, that's so old-fashioned. Yeah. By old-fashioned, you mean what came before you, right? Because you're the be-all and end-all of your own universe, and I get that. Believe me, I get that. But there was a time before you, and there'll be a time after you, right? And you're like, well, I don't care about the time before me, and I don't care about the time after me. Fair. But you will. You will. There will come a point when you do care about that. And there will come a point, if you're very unlucky, where you will see that most of your memories are lies. Like if your memory came through a box of light, like, do you remember Indiana Jones when the guy's face melted? Yeah, that was a lie. Do you remember when, I don't know, anything from Star Wars? Like Star Wars. Remember Star Wars? Yeah, that was a lie too. That's not real. None of that's real. It's all an agenda. Screens have agendas, right? And most of our memories come from screens. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing. In fact, it was something that used to band people together. You'd have like, before there was the internet, there'd be like these groups that would get together and share like videotapes of like the Addams Family, right? Or Max Headroom or whatever, Doctor Who. I went to some of the Doctor Who ones back before there was the internet. Like I did that. So we're talking like hardcore, pure, high-level nerddom here. Fanzines and shit like that where nobody read just for the love of the game. That was why they did it. So not to be like they were better. I'm just saying that that's all they had at the time. And now we've got this amazing interwebs that connects everybody, and these screens have garnered our attention 24/7. I've often said that, that whole thing about like, imagine next time you're walking around downtown or anywhere really, and where there's people, and if you could take a videotape of a crowd of people, just day-to-day life, moving around bus stops, that kind of thing, and everyone with a cell phone, you just turned into like a cockroach kind of wood bug looking thing with antennas that were coming out or shining a light on their face, right? Obviously mind controlling them. If you could like Photoshop that would be amazing. Just AI apply that across the crowd, because like if you suddenly just swip that around, that's exactly what is going on here. Because your entire perception is being controlled by screens, right? We know this happens. This is why like people went out and they bought the Dirty Harry 44 Magnum. That's why they bought that gun. Not to talk about, this is just we're going to use the point of a gun. Okay. There is a handgun. It's the Model 29 Smith & Wesson. It's a 44 Magnum handgun. Ridiculous by any merit. Okay. It's ridiculous. Okay. There is no possible reason to own something that heavy. I mean, yes, America, I get it, right? It's fine, shall not be infringed. Also cool, but I'm just talking from like a kit standpoint. Like, there's better tools. There were better tools at the time. It was just literally a big prick waving thing where they handed the thing out to like people in Arctic expeditions hoping that they'd be able to smoke a polar bear and all this kind of stuff. Like there was a lot of crazy stuff that went on with the Model 29. And they couldn't sell them. They couldn't give the guns away, okay? Because it's a big, stupid revolver that weighs 37 pounds and kicks like a mule, and the ammo is like $5 a bullet, right? So like, who's buying these things? And then along comes the Dirty Harry movie. The original Dirty Harry Callahan. And that was that big speech about the 40 most powerful handgun in the world, right? And then they could not keep that gun in stock. And to this day, that is why people, the Rambo knife, hell, Sharks, Jaws. Oh boy, they did that film didn't do Great White Sharks any favors, I'll tell you. Holy cow. Or the scuba industry. But yeah, you think about all these memories that we share, and they're not real. They didn't come from a human interaction. Now, the interesting thing is that if you play paper and dice role-playing games, where you sit down across from people and you're all imagining like a scene, and anyone who's done this, I'm sure there's many people, well, of my dozens of fans, I'm sure a great number of you have done this, where you remember a game night like it was a thing, like you remember where the elf was in the room and how that happened, and you remember all this stuff like it really happened, like it was a thing that happened, you know? And that, I would argue, is a better shared experience because there was no screens involved. So technically, that's a valid memory, I would say. So RPGs, they don't count. But aside from me being all snide and internet-y and being like, everything you believe is a lie. Yeah, okay, great, Sean. Have you got anything I can actually use? Yeah, I do, actually. Something I've been thinking about for a while, and I've harped on and on this program about for a bit, which is, of course, the Yamaha TW. No, it's not. It's meditation. Oh, yes. Would you rather the Yamaha TW200? Because how about now? You should buy a Yamaha TW200. No, you should just buy any motorcycle, not that one specifically. I think that's a good choice if you were to ask me, because invariably, what bike do you think I should? A Yamaha TW200. I don't care who you are. Well, I really like this bike. Did it go to the North Pole? No? Getty Yamaha TW200. Anyway, moving on. We were talking about meditation, and it's hard. That's why. And I've been racking my brain as to why meditation is hard. And I've asked people, like, do you meditate? No, I have to use an app, and it's really hard. Why? Like, when you think about it, like, now there's lots of different kinds of meditation, right? But I'm talking about the mindfulness stuff where you, like, you sit there and you follow your breathing. You don't, like, control your breathing. You follow the breathing. And when thoughts arise, you, like, just dump them. And then you just follow your breathing. And if anything, you dump a thought and you refocus on your breathing. And you do this for, like heavy is 15 minutes, right? Like, if you don't meditate, you try to meditate for 15 minutes, it's heavy. You're going to feel like I was outside of time. It was 45 minutes. You're going to, oh yeah. And I've often wondered why that is. And the closest thing that I've been able to come to as a conclusion on this is, when you're, maybe you're on a bus or something, okay? And you've got an audiobook in, and you're listening to that audiobook, and it's a good one, right? And you're into it. And all of a sudden, something happens and something jars you and you have to take your headphones out. And now you're subjected to the bus and the smell and the odor and that guy who always rides the bus at the same time you do because both of you are going somewhere, and I'm sure he's a decent human being and stuff, but my God, that person smells. And, you're only on this bus for like 46 minutes. So, is it worth it? It's not. This guy could be, whatever. And all I want to do is listen to my book. And now I've been jostled. And that is what meditation is. Meditation is forcing you to take out your headphones and think about where you are right now. Meditation, I've often thought, is kind of like those like Agent 47 movies where the guy like opens his eye and he's got like the bald head and he's like, doesn't know where he is, doesn't know who he is. And they got like the chrome 45s on the counter or whatever. And then he tries to discover his inner child. Yeah. I kind of think meditation's a lot like that. Like if you stop thinking, eventually over time, right? I think that, so if you look at okay, hang on. Before I get too stumbled over this, that's largely what meditation does, is it takes out the headphones. So it removes all these other distractions. Now, when that happens, nature abhors a vacuum. Okay? So other things will happen instead of screens. It would have to, because even if nothing happened, you're not looking at screens, right? And therefore you'll be developing different memories. You see where I'm going with this? So the idea is to get as far away from these screens as you can and to live a lifestyle that's kind of conducive to that. But more than this, I am firmly convinced, and so is like based on like all esoteric teachings. I don't care what discipline, the Jews, who you are, I don't care. All of your rabbinic teachings basically say meditation is the way. The Hindus, the Japanese, everybody. They got different techniques and weasel words and stuff like that. And some people chant, other people, do weird physical stuff. But it's largely just a head trip on meditation. That's what it is. Why? What does meditation do? Right? Now, back in the day, Madame Blavatsky and her theosophical guys, I mean, if you talk to some of the Peter Levenda stuff and you get into that jazz and they realize that she's like, well, she was a Soviet spy. Okay, but where'd she get all this stuff from? Oh, she made it up. Okay, so she's just super gifted fantasy author. Yeah. So, and she dupes all the most brilliant minds of the day. All of them. She dupes them somehow. Yeah, essentially. And she dupes them hard enough to like garner enough money, like quite a bit of cash and secret societies. Like there's something wrong there. I don't really know what the deal is with the Theosophical Society. And for those Theosophical Society viewers, I'm not ragging on your organization. Okay, but just like the Masons and everybody else, they all got involved with people, you know. So it's a thing. But anyway, these guys, Blavatsky and them, they got, because there was like this spiritualism movement, which was pretty crazy. I was able to get some of the texts and like they're building, like everybody knows about Ouija boards, right? Like, you get the board with the planchette that tells you stuff, whatever. They're bad news. Don't go near them. Good advice. But did you know that there's like a bunch of tools like that? Like not just Ouija boards. I'm talking like machines that allowed you to somehow communicate and stuff, like crystals and boards and like scientific instruments and diagrams designed by like crooks and these guys. Not just the Tesla Spirit Radio. I mean like other stuff. Like there's a bunch of stuff that was going along with this. And this was starting to, Aether and all this kind of jazz. And now they're saying that the whole Aether, oh, by the way, that Aether thing, yeah, that's a real thing. Yeah, Aether, that stuff we said doesn't exist. We think that might be like what dark matter is now. They're saying that. But if you go back to when Aether was like a thing and you had this spiritualism movement thing, and all of a sudden at the end of the Second World War, the Nazis come over, start running NASA, and boom, all this gets shut down. Hard science only, atheism. Here's some physics that doesn't go anywhere with string theory, and you'll never be able to do anything with it, and you'll just run in circles while we have our own breakaway civilization of lords and masters that, will go on and become our destiny of being the rulers based on our bloodlines or whatever. They think that, because we're better than you or meritocracy or whatever it is. Okay, but the guys who are going to be running the show. Now, the thing is about with meditation, it seems to improve your brain. We can all agree that all the disciplines everywhere seem to say that meditation improves your brain. Any kind of meditation improves your brain. So, even if you're like, I think that if there was a machine that was developed that would help improve your brain with meditation, that would be interesting. And that's where I've talked about this whole idea of this Mahatma mirror thing before. It's just basically a north-facing, or you're facing north and there's a mirror, a plate of copper. And they actually said it was like take copper up against a wall. So it doesn't even have to be particularly, but you could go on like Amazon and like get copper foil and just put it on the wall and you're done, right? I mean, I could make a video. Maybe I will. But and you put a magnet over your head, suspend a magnet over your head. If you're a male, you want to do your own research, but it's N points up, and if it's a female, then S points up. So I believe, yeah. So there's an orientation of the magnet based on if you're male or female, and that's it. Oh, and you sit on a wood stool on glass blocks. So I took that to mean you're isolated electrically. So I just used a bunch of yoga mats and decided, hey, let's give this a go. And so I got a big copper plate and I did it. Yeah, I did that for about 4 months. And, it was kind of like this thing where you are trying to get, like, you imagine when you do this kind of stuff, you imagine you're going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger as a bodybuilder. Like when you start bodybuilding, somehow in your mind, you think I'm going to be like this amazing bodybuilder guy. So you start doing the exercises. And the exercises you do, because you're not really skilled in fitness, so you start running a lot and doing a lot of like trapeze courses and stuff like this, like and commando courses. And you think that's going to make you into Arnold Schwarzenegger. It does not. But you train faithfully. However, it does not make you into Arnold Schwarzenegger. Instead, you're eating a lot of food and you look like Bruce Lee, and it's upsetting. Or perhaps you're not eating the right food, but the side effect is it no longer hurts to go up and down stairs. Like you notice all these side benefits that happen that you were trying to get to be this big muscular dude, but now, I can basically, I just don't get winded anymore. Nothing hurts ever. I heal super quickly. Yeah, but I'm not that big dude. So, but you miss this other side benefit which occurs. And that's what happens with meditation. Is that if you do it, and full disclosure, I mean, I hate to say it, but yeah, I did it in front of a Mahatma mirror. You know what I mean? Like I did the thing where you sit there on the ice. I did that with the magnet and all that. Yeah, I did that. And yeah, some crazy stuff started to happen. So I stopped doing that because I thought that, It's like if you get really heavy. I don't know if you've ever gotten really heavy into bodybuilding or any kind of really serious fitness regimes, but there comes a point when you either or anything really, like maybe you're into like horses or shooting or square dancing. Let's take square dancing as a prime example. So you start going out, you're having fun. Again, you're good at it. You're pretty good at it. Pretty soon you're like, leading stuff. You really like this. This square dancing thing is big. And then, you wind up going to like the nationals, right? And you're like, wow. And you win the nationals and you think that's pretty great. Now you're going to the international square dancing competition. And these people are out of control. These people are like on a level that you can't possibly comprehend. These people are square dancing terrors. These people are like this vision of square dancing. And you realize that you're not willing to go as far as these other square dancers are willing to go, and you sort of back off and you're like, yeah, you know what, I do my thing, but I'm not like professionally competitive in this field. And I think that that's okay, because I think people that go the extra step and whatever it takes, I think those people are probably insane. So I stopped, and in doing the research, you sort of like, oh, did that really happen? Was that a thing that happened? And it turns out it was. And in retrospect now, because you see other things that happen in your life, which I can't get too specific about. But let's just say that worst case, let's say I'm nuts, pretty safe bet. And let's say that all we know is for sure that meditation improves your brain. Meditation improves your brain. Full stop. Right? Safe statement, pretty clear, evidence is there. There's all that. So, as monster hunters, we have to come to the hideous reality of research and training, which is it's going to take a certain amount of time. The TV preacher wants your money. I'm worse. I want your time. Yeah. You need to, can you do 5 minutes a day? 5 minutes a day. Can you do 5 minutes a day? Can't find 5 minutes in a day? Because, nothing takes 5 minutes. Black Hawk Down. No, let's think about say 15 minutes. And really, if you're going to commit to something, half an hour. That's not half an hour meditation. That's the whole thing. It's half an hour. So it takes you 10 minutes to get somewhere where you can sit down and actually meditate properly. Another 4 minutes to put your headphones on and untangle the cords or whatever you got going on. And then it'll take, you take a drink of water, you sit back and you actually do it. And you do like a 15-minute meditation that gives you 10 minutes to get back to work, whatever. Okay. If you to actually do that for half an hour, could you do that? Because that is the most monster hunter thing you could do for yourself and for your environment, for everyone, but mostly for yourself, because you will find that it makes a huge difference. Now, again, I did the Mahatma Mirror thing because Ingo Swann did it, and he's the guy who founded the whole CIA remote viewing thing. And they spent literally millions of dollars on his research, and his research produced results. And so he was a psychic. And when he used one of these things, he got supercharged and it's pretty wild. He talks about it in one of his books, Penetration, I think. And yeah, it's some wild stuff. So depending on what you want to get into, I think that is something that we as monster hunters can only improve on. It's like saying, I want to be an arcane mage, but I don't want to read. Yeah, we're going to have a problem here. So I think being a monster hunter, I think that, just for the extra bonus on the saving throw that it gives you, just that, because when the vampire is trying to force of will everybody in the room, right? And you're just happen to be there because you're concerned and people know you're into this stuff, so they invited you along, and now you're in the room and the vampire's there and he's force-willing the room. You will all submit to my will. And would you be ready? Would you have been doing meditation so you've got some force of will exercises that give you that extra +4 to save? So when you have to roll dice in the arena of life against the forces of darkness, will you have your bonus on your saving throw? That's what I'm asking you, and I'm basically saying that that's what meditation gives you, at a minimum. And people don't think vampires are real. Side note, but this whole Epstein Island where they're like eating people and energies and stuff, and vampires are these aristocratic dudes who like prey on virgins and the young and never die, and some parallels. I'm just saying there's it's not, if you squint a little bit it looks kind of like that. But I think that no matter what you do in life, you have to focus on it. You have to make it you have to make it something that you do every day. It's like a medication, it's like an addiction that you have to do. You get back to it. It has to be something that you enjoy. This is why I think working out for me is really difficult, because there comes a point when it does become enjoyable, where you become so institutionalized by the gym mechanism complex, you actually think lifting weights is a good idea. I am not there yet. Trying to get there. Not really, but I hope to one day. But yeah, I mean, working out and all this kind of stuff is important. And you have to decide, like, what do you hate more, lifting weights or meditation? And you'll find you hate meditation more. And according to the Goggins compass, you should always do what you least want to do. So I think that meditation, but let's say monster hunting. How much time can you dedicate to monster hunting every day? And that's right. I mean, we're already separating the wheat from the chaff. I mean, if you're here and you're past all this stuff and you already run through the really good YouTube channels like Area 52 and Jesse Michaels and Sean Ryan, and you do the watching and you do the research, and you eventually wind up here at Sean Hunts Monsters, and you realize that, yeah, okay, so looks like humans are not running the show. At best, we're managed. At worst, we're harvested. And we don't really know how or why we're being harvested. We don't even know really what we're being harvested for. But we're definitely being controlled by screens. And it's interesting, side note, back to the Yamaha TW200 thing. But the motorcycle thing, many motorcycle people do not, like, you can put comms in your motorcycles, you can talk, right? With other people in your pack. Most people don't do that. They want the experience of being disconnected and being super present in the moment of being on a bike, which is something that a bike gives you. And a bike also gives you, a motorbike, I should say, also gives you a real sense of what you need to survive. Like if you imagine flying into the desert or taking to the hills, the bike will show you what is realistic and feasible for you to take to the hills with. And it eliminates the entire, argument about, kit, really, because things get so light. And so you'll spend less money if you do it that way. Let me tell you that, because you won't be able to carry anything. So, because you get the choice. You can either get there or you can get there with stuff, And that's really what I wanted to say about monster hunting. I mean, you approach it like you do every other mission. And it seems like now, with consciousness being on the forefront, the number one tool to expand consciousness is meditation. And I don't really know what... maybe... You know what? I know it's annoying. I know it's annoying for people who are like, oh, God, he's on about fucking meditation again. But, like, dude, if, like... Because this is... Internet's forever, right? So if in, 10 years' time, some kid gets into this program, God help you, and he goes, you know what? Sean's really being serious about this. And yeah, man, I really am. Like, if you want to take something from this series, the entire Sean Hunts Monsters series, and it got you meditating, and that's like the only thing, this guy was an idiot. Because of him, I yoga with Adrian, and then I tried meditating, and da-da-da-da. Like, if I was just a notion that pointed you in that direction, I would be so happy. Oh my God. That would be amazing. Because it means that no matter what, your life got better. And it does. That's what I've always kind of wanted for anybody who consumes any of the media I created. That, and to thwart the forces of darkness. Because, they're a thing and they're around, and I'm worried about the forces of darkness because they seem to be kind of taking over, and I don't want to just go gently into that good nights. So we can't really organize. Everything's monitored. So what do? Meditate. Let's take the back door. Let's go in and improve ourselves to a level that we don't know how it's improving us, so they can't stop it. You disconnect from infrastructure, and it all becomes this ever-evolving 0-day revolution that never goes away, and they don't know what's happening, and they can't stop it, and all of a sudden you're just there one day. And that sounds like some bullshit hippie communist stuff, but it kind of is, and it's kind of not. Like, there comes a point when there's enough people who start to realize this, and you have to close that loop where they'll cycle of, oh, it's all a lie, and then the party's over and you realize it. You know what I mean? You have to get that loop tighter. And it's already happening tighter because of our society, right? Kids in their 20s are waking up and they're like, wow, this whole thing's a lie. This whole rat race is a lie. And like, they're trying to, deal with that. And I feel for you. I do. So, your key takeaways from this episode is that the Yamaha DW200 is the best bike that was ever made. And that's really what's important to remember here. And also meditating and maybe your brain gets better when you do that. That would be my two hopes for Breach Report number 34. If you'd like to see what other people are hardcore and crazy like you and me, why don't you head on over to our Discord server? Links inside the show description, and not much else because I never got to any other stories. But thanks for listening, and thanks for watching, and thanks for thinking about it. Because, the only one who's going to look after you at the end of the day is really you.